All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 230. Today is the 3rd of April, 2019. And first of all, if you're live, thanks for joining us. We're going to dive into the questions here shortly. If you're not live or you're new to Semantic Mastery, first of all, thank you for watching. And we want to point you in the right direction. The good news is you're already in the right place. This is a place to be watching Hump Day Hangouts, whether you're catching us live or, again, if you're catching the replay, maybe on YouTube. That's awesome. The next step is definitely grab the battle plan. Head over to battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And then for those of you who are interested in either starting or growing your local digital marketing agency, we want you to check out the mastermind. So go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And then every week with the Hump Day Hangouts, you can always go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions and ask your questions live. We love it when you join us. There's sometimes good stuff going on for people who join us live. But you can always ask your questions if you got a call, you got client stuff, you're at work, whatever. Then you can check out the replays. So with that said, we got a few more announcements, but let's say hello to everybody. We got everyone except for Hernan here. I think he's having some issues with power. So Chris, we'll start things with you. How you doing?
Doing good.
All right, man, a few words. Marco, how you doing?
What's up, dude?
How's the weather down there?
It's beautiful, man. Sucked last night. We got down to 67.
Oh, it's tough, man. I feel for you. Really.
I had to go and grab a sheet. I don't appreciate having to get up middle of the night and having to get a sheet. But other than that, I can't complain.
That's good, man. That's good. Bradley, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm got this for Marco though. No, it's nice here finally. It's 70 degrees today, which is nice. Spring is almost sprung here in Virginia, and really looking forward to it after a wet and nasty winter. So glad to be here too.
Good deal. Well, we got a lot of questions, so we're not going to take up too much time today. Just wanted to mention to everybody, if you haven't yet, head over to MGYB.co for your done-for-you SEO services. There's been several launching. We got more in the pipeline, but I know specifically that the embeds, the link building, and link indexing is live. So go check those out. I'll put the links on the pages. Did you guys have anything else to say about that? I just wanted to let people know that those are live.
I jump in for a moment real quick, Marco, and then you can talk your trash too. The link building service is amazing because this is our longtime link builder. Daddy has been working for us for me specifically for I think 6 years now. He's a real pro at what he does. He is amazing, and one of the strategies is working incredibly well. And it's not just from what I'm saying, but from a lot of our members, like mastermind members that are using his services as well. Is if you guys are using ad ID pages, which we talk about in various trainings. And then point links to those instead of pointing direct to your money site. It's incredibly powerful for local stuff, especially, and it's working really, really well. And what I love about it is it's easy, right? Because you just go and place your order for link building, and Dedia does the rest, and it basically will power up your ad ID loop, which is really super powerful, and it protects your money site as well. So I would highly encourage you guys to go check that out. The effects have been consistent across the board. Go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, no, what I wanted to add is the embeds are just that. It's not just video. It's not just maps. It's embeds. If it has an X frame, we cannot help you, right? Because that's the website not allowing itself to be iframe. Other than that, if you can, if it can be iframe, it can be sent through an embed gig. So imagine what you could do with that, with the media page, and maybe embed it on a G site, or maybe. I'm not going to go too deep into that because I don't want to spin people's heads, but it's limitless. And then what's working really, really well is when you build links into a Drive Stack plus D site. I mean, we were talking last night in our mini mastermind, and someone literally got a Drive Stack from us, got the link building from Dedia. The link building isn't done. And the Drive Stack has already started moving into the first spots in Google. I mean, that's how well it's working. Fuck Google and Google updates. Go to MGYB. First of all, get the battle plan so that you know which products and services you need to grab from us. I mean, you could do it all yourself, or save yourself all that time and all those headaches. Let us do it for you, and get it done right and get results. I mean, I can't guarantee results. Well, not yet. I will be guaranteeing results in a few months. I can't guarantee them just right. I can't. Google is unpredictable the way that we're targeting it. There's still some fluctuations that aren't measured into RYS Academy Drive Stacks, RYS Reloaded. But when you add the power of press releases, when you add the power of link building, when you add the power, again, I'll go back to Bradley's training, YouTube ads. If you didn't get it, I mean, you're missing one of the best options for getting power into your, and I'll give credit to Becca right now, slipstreams. Link streams, or slipstreams as he called them, are the shit. Get link building into that, get people into that, and watch it just light a match, and everything else will just blow. So that's my piece for today.
Awesome. I got absolutely nothing to add on to that, you guys. So good to go. Go check it out. Again, the links will be on the page. I had reports of some issues with the commenting on the page again. We switched to Facebook. So if anyone's having issues, let us know. You can send in a ticket to support@semanticmastery.com. We want to make sure it's a work in progress. We'll try to get things going. It looks like people have commented, but there might be issues still going on. So please let us know. Give us some feedback, and we'll get that fixed for you guys.
We had issues with the Facebook app, huh?
Yeah. So I know at least one person had issues, and then I've seen some issues on my account. So anyways, we'll roll with the punches, guys, and we'll get it straightened out. We keep hopping around trying different stuff. So the last thing I wanted to say, too, if you're catching this, well, regardless of where you're watching this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's the short version. And if you're checking this out on YouTube, and you're coming across clips, or you watch this stuff regularly and you check out our channel, please help us out, share it. We're trying to grow our YouTube channel. We want to get the word out there. And, we know we got a lot of good clips with a lot of helpful info. So if you know someone who could use it, by all means, share it, email it, whatever you want to do. Just get the word out.
Sweet. Can we let loose?
No, just kidding. Yeah, let's do this.
All right. I'm going to grab the screen. We'll get into it. All right. So we're going to start where it says 6 days ago. So I'm going to start right here with Leon, who says, "Hey, Semantic Mastery, got any tips for cold calling local businesses and providing GMB rankings?" Well, I don't have any tips for cold calling, except that there's a great strategy that I developed many, many years ago when I first started growing my own agency that is a combination of email, but very specific video emails, and then calling those that engage or interact with the video emails. And there's a way to determine that. And that way it's not a strict cold call. Because I don't know about you guys, but I always hated straight cold calls. They suck. You interrupt people. They usually are pissed off that you call them and interrupted them, especially if they think it's some sort of solicitation. Even if you are trying to provide help or true value with what you're, saying to them. Again, most people, especially now, because marketers have really saturated the market, guys. And I don't necessarily mean you and I, like as kind of solopreneurs or little guys, so to speak, but like the big marketing agencies that have sales staff and things like that, they hammer local businesses. If you're a local business, you get hammered with solicitation calls all day, every day. And, it's absolutely relentless. And so if you try to just straight cold call people without doing something to differentiate yourself, you're going to run into a lot of discouragement, right? You're going to get a lot of denials. You're going to get turned down. You're going to get cussed at, all these kind of things. And honestly, it's hard to sustain that for very long without, throwing in the towel and saying, this isn't for me. I'm going to do something else. So I developed a strategy that I developed years ago, back in probably 2012, was what I called the video lead gen system. We've got a product for it right now that I'm actually updating specifically for 2019 and for lead generation for people that are building lead gen assets, as well as it can still be applied to just straight, client work, prospecting for clients. And I'm currently updating that right now, like literally, because we're going to be launching that the version 2 or the update essentially in 3 weeks, I think. So what is it, April 23rd that we're doing that? Is that right, Adam?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah. So in 3 weeks from today, guys, we'll be talking about it. It'll be the day after launch, and we'll be talking more about it then. But specifically, Lee, what I would recommend is for cold calling local businesses, instead of cold calling them just direct without somehow measuring their level of interest, you're going to have a hard time. So the better way to do it, in my opinion, is to go out and hand select the prospects that you want to work with, and then creating a video email, which the original process that I created was a bit time consuming to do, but it worked really well. Like I was getting consistently 3 or 4 responses for every 10 emails that I would send out. And that, I mean, that's almost unheard of, right? For cold emails. And when I say responses, I mean people that would ask for, you know, either reply via email or call me, depending on what my call to action was, so that I could start and essentially started a dialogue with me, a conversation. And out of those 3 or 4 out of every 10, I would close 1 or 2 of them. And I had heard many, many times from people that I would chat with or talk to, you know, prospects that I would talk to after reaching out to them via video email. I would hear many times people say like, oh, wow, that was a really unique way to get my attention. And so essentially what it is it's, you know, hand selecting the prospects that you want to work with or the ones that you think you want to work with, and then creating a short video, kind of providing value as to why, you know, who you are, but it's not about you, it's about them. And it's about their digital presence and what you could do to help them, or what you see as opportunities that they're not taking advantage of. So you don't ever like criticize their existing digital presence. You always want to say stuff like, hey, I really like your website, but I see that you're missing, you know, you could be missing out on leads because you don't have this, or for example, your Google My Business profile might not be optimized. It isn't fully optimized. And if you're not aware of this, that's where the vast majority of leads are coming for local businesses right now. Or you want to always talk in their terms. And again, I can't go into the specifics because it's in the course and we're relaunching that in 3 weeks anyways. But video email is a really, really good way to get people's attention. However, like I mentioned, the original strategy or method that I had developed was really time consuming. It was very effective, but time consuming. Well, I've developed a way to streamline that, which is it's a lot easier to get more of these emails out. And again, that's all covered in the update that's going to be coming out in 3 weeks. So, you know, I would recommend that you do that. And the reason why, Lee, is because when you can measure engagement through the emails. There's a service that there's a bunch of different services that do this, but I specifically use a service called pointofmail.com, where every email I send out, it tracks the engagement level of that email to the recipient that I'm sending it to. So I can set up notifications to be notified when they open the email, when they click on a link in the email. I can have text notifications or email notifications come to me so that I know exactly when my email is getting opened and when somebody's clicking a link, for example, a link to a video that I send them, right? And so what I've learned is if you want to do cold calling, one of the best things you can do is send a series of emails to the prospect, and not these like, you know, diarrhea of the mouth type emails where you literally just like unload in a long email like all these things that you could do for them, because I found that those get deleted right away or get marked as spam right away. But send these like short little emails where you're asking questions and trying to get a dialogue started with the prospect and getting permission from them to send them a video. And again, I'm not going to reveal that strategy here on Hump Day Hangouts because it's in the training course, but it's just a couple of questions that you send, and then you get permission to send them a video from them. They say, yeah, send it. And you send the video via either a link or even a screenshot that looks like a video embedded in the actual email. Either one works. And then when they click that link, you can be notified by your email tracking software or app, depending, you know, whatever, that they've clicked that link. So now you know for a fact that they've seen your email or they've seen your video, or at least started to watch your video. And that's when you call them, because then now you've got, you know, that they are you've already got permission to send them the video, number one, because you started a very easy dialogue with them, not where you're telling them about how great you are and all the things that you can do for them. You just ask them a couple questions and get them to give you what I call a positive reply. And once you got the positive reply, you send them the video link, that they've already given permission to send. And then when they click it, you get notified that they've opened it, which means you know that, or that they clicked a link, so that you know that they've at least started to watch the video. And that's when you call. You can either call immediately, or you can wait a few minutes, or you can wait a day or two and call back and say, hey, look, I just wanted to follow up to find out if you had a chance to watch the video that I sent you. Well, you know that they already did, because you can tell from the activity from the email tracking app. But you don't say that, because that might sound a bit creepy, right? But you just say like, hey, I just wanted to follow up real quick to find out if you had a chance to watch the video that I sent you, see if you had any questions, or, you know, see if we could talk about it a little bit. And that way it's not a cold call. It's a warm call at that point. And so I would recommend, Lee, that you pay attention or be on the lookout. In 3 weeks, we're going to relaunch that. It's called the Video Lead Gen System. And again, there's a lot of streamlined methods in there that I've been working on, and just like the past few weeks, seriously, for a lot of stuff that I'm doing right now in my own business that, you know, is working well. So hopefully that was helpful. Anybody got any comments on that?
No, man, that was perfect. You're the master at that, so let's move on.
I just got one quick one. When you say 30 to 40%, I think some people will get how awesome of a rate that is, but it's just like freaking astronomical. Like, that's unheard of. You don't get that when you're prospecting. So anyways, if you haven't, or you're going to be starting prospecting, like, keep in mind, I mean, that is orders, you know, that's huge. I think a normal response rate to prospecting is 1% or lower.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not hard to do. And a lot of, you know, I've learned over the years to not do so much of the work myself. And so there's, you know, methods for outsourcing this, a lot of the work too, to where it really requires very little effort on your part up front, other than to record the short videos and then actually, you know, pick up the conversation once the prospect has replied positively. And you can have a VA do most of the heavy lifting between the time that you create the video and the time that the prospect replies positively, and then you just pick up the conversation from there. So it's a great strategy, guys. And again, we'll be releasing that in 3 weeks. Next is I don't really quite understand this question, but Pranab, he says, what is good for event blogging, expired domain, or new domain? I'm a newbie learner. Okay, I guess just means for what is good for blogging, expired domain or new domain. Well, I would recommend going with a new domain with a brand name that you want to create, because for SEO purposes, if you find an expired domain that had good backlink profile and relevant content to what it is that you're going to be blogging about, if it was previously in the same type of content or the same category, essentially the same topic, then you can get some traction from that. But you have to know how to, you can get some traction faster from using an expired domain, because it might already have some good inbound links, so a good link profile. But that's the problem. Unless you know what you're doing and how to investigate that, you could very well just buy a domain that's been spammed to death. And if it wasn't in the same category, the same around, you know, built around, if it didn't have content on it that was around the same topic, then it's really not going to benefit from the existing inbound link profile unless it had incredibly high, you know, valued links pointing to it. In which case, sometimes you can recategorize it and it will still have a benefit. But for the most part, I recommend just starting off with your own new domain that's branded after the brand name that you want to create, and starting there, and then using some of the methods, you know, to be selfish here, some of the semantic mastery methods where you can start pushing authority and relevancy into your domain using properties that you don't have to worry about necessarily the inbound link profile, because it's a brand new property. So, or a brand new domain. So obviously we use a lot of Google properties to push authority. And that's something that you can do, is just start with a new domain, branded the way that you want it to be branded. It's nice, clean domain at that point, right? If it's new. And then you can start building, you know, things like syndication network and blogging consistently. That's a staple for us. A drive stack. We're going to talk about that here again in a minute, but an RYS drive stack, using Google properties to start building authority to your domain. And then from there, you could do a lot of other things to the drive stack that would keep your domain clean, but start building authority. That's what I recommend. Marky, you want to comment on that at all?
No, I totally agree. Aren't we doing an update webinar for Syndication Academy?
Yes.
Where we're going to talk about the importance of branding and brand plus keyword association, and how that really solidifies everything as far as Googlebot is concerned. It's all about the entity, right? It's all about what you're presenting to Google as far as what it is that you're doing, how you're doing it, and how everything that's attached to this brand belongs to the brand. You've talked about this before. We go and we claim the footprint. We're not scared of Google. We want Google to know this stuff is all ours. We're going to go ahead and have our presence in all of these social media and on all of the different Web 2.0 profiles that we create through Syndication Academy. There's other training in Syndication Academy that helps power it up. But the whole point is for that entity. And so you can do that. Instead of taking somebody else's idea and what they had and trying to convert that to your vision, just start with your vision and go after that. I mean, I totally agree with Brad.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's interesting. We had a question, and I think it was the Syndication Academy group, or it might have been our free Facebook group, the SEO tutorials group. But somebody asked, are syndication networks still viable in 2019? And that absolutely they are. As far as a straight ranking tactic, they're not maybe as effective as they were several years ago. But that's missing. You're missing the point then, because what Marco was just talking about was it's an entity validator, and it's incredibly important to do that, because in case you were unaware of this, Google is looking at authority and entities and building authority and validating those entities. And that's one way to do it. And it's by getting your name listed, you know, your brand name or your website name, whatever, listed in multiple places. And it kind of validates that entity in a way that you can't really do unless you have claimed this footprint. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why they're still very, very effective. And I would, you know, again, it's still part of our standard operating procedure. It's a foundational method. There's no question. Mike Crest is up. He says, how hard can you hit a subdomain with links on a top level domain? Well, it depends on what you're asking about, Mike. I mean, typically we don't encourage hitting your money site, even on a subdomain, with direct like spam links and such. We got away from doing that years ago, really. Years ago, you used to be able to do like what was called domain authority stacking, and essentially you could just manipulate domain authority and page authority that way, which is a Moz metric. I get it, but it was effective. It was very effective at the time, but we're talking like 2014, 2015 timeframe, so several years ago. Now I don't recommend doing that. Even on, you know, even if you were just setting up a subdomain specifically to point links at it, but it wasn't like, you know, something that you were trying to keep, like the subdomain wasn't your content distribution engine, like you weren't trying to rank the subdomain, I wouldn't do it, because I don't like to put anything real spammy anywhere near the money site now. So, because we don't need to. Again, just what we've been talking about on this webinar alone was like using drive stacks, for example, as the filter, or Amazon S3 pages. It's another great thing to do, because Google domains or Amazon domains can withstand any kind of abuse you send at them. Like absolutely any, like kitchen sink spam. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. They'll take it, and they'll take it like a champ. And please, sir, may I have another? You know what I mean? And so instead of worrying about spamming a subdomain for pushing authority or whatever, which by the way, domain authority stacking and shit doesn't work anymore. I mean, it might with some massive numbers, but it's difficult to do, and it's not something that I would consider sustainable. So instead, use properties like Amazon and Google that you can then use as like a tier 1 that's linking to your money site, and push all your spam to those instead. Right? Because they'll launder it. They'll essentially filter out the negative and only pass the good. And it's just because they'll take whatever you can throw at them. Like I said, please, sir, may I have another? So I wouldn't hit a subdomain on a money site with a bunch of spam. I would, unless you had a filter ahead of it, which in that case, you could go direct to the money site. You know what I'm saying? For example, you could be linking from, and I don't want to get too, I'm not going to go any further than this, but iframes are a good way to do that kind of stuff, which is why we do what we do with drive stacks, because it's very, very powerful way to push authority without it being spammy to the money site. Does that make sense? Or the ad ID page, Mike. If you're in, I'm fairly sure you're in Syndication Academy or at least one of our paid groups. If you're in any of our paid groups, you'll have access to that ad ID page strategy, which is using an Amazon domain. The combination between that and Drive Stacks alone is incredibly powerful, and you can get away with murder with those. Comments?
No, I agree.
Move on. Quentin's up. He says, great day, guys. I'm having a website made next week for my brand or my band/brand. What are the must-haves to make Google my website, bitch? Love it, Quentin. He says, also, after having the website up and running, what's the first thing I should do? Okay, so again, battle plan, Quentin. If you don't already have it, get the battle plan, because that's exactly what it is for, to show you step by step and in what order you should apply, again, at least from our methods that will work, that will help you to get the most traction. Step one is going to be syndication network to help validate the entity. And then every single time you make posts to your blog, it will help to update that network, which again, that's just activity, as well as they're just really good signals. So I would start with syndication network, and then obviously a drive stack, because we've been talking a lot about that. They're just so effective. I mean, still, and it's funny because we've heard in other places people say, oh, drive stacks aren't that effective. Bullshit. You just don't know how to use them, or you're building them incorrectly. That's the thing. If you know what you're doing, if you build them correctly, and then you know what to do with them once you have them, then they're incredibly effective. So, Quentin, I would recommend absolutely syndication network, step one. Start posting regularly once your syndication network is attached to your new blog. If you're a band and you're doing a lot of updates on social media, use your your blog as your point of origin for your your social media updates. In other words, post your updates to your blog and allow your blog to syndicate those posts to your social media, so that you're always funneling the authority back to your blog, as opposed to just when you post directly to Facebook, for example. Yes, you can get engagement on Facebook, but who are you benefiting as far as the website, the digital property? You're benefiting Facebook, not your own brand, right? I mean, you're still benefiting your brand. I get that, but I'm saying you're not benefiting your digital asset, your digital presence, because you're essentially doing all of your activity on Facebook. Well, you can still have your activity go to Facebook, but have it post to your blog first, right? So that way that you're pushing authority back and bringing hopefully visitors off of Facebook back to your website. And that's just one example. So I would use your blog as a kind of like your point of origin for your updates, and do it regularly. All right. And then as far as that, beyond that, again, a drive stack is going to help you to start pushing authority. Then you can do all sorts of nasty SEO stuff, off-page SEO stuff to your drive stack, which will keep your blog clean. And that'll help to make Google your website, bitch. Marco, what do you suggest on that?
Battle plan for a new website. It's on there, right?
Yep.
I just follow it step by step. It tells you the things that you need to get. And guys, we link from the battle plan to MGYB services, because that's what we use, right? We get the syndication networks from MGYB, from our builders. We get our drive stacks from there. We get our press releases from there. We get everything that we can from the people who we've trained to do things the Semantic Mastery way. So, of course, we're going to link to our stuff. It's what we use. We're not going to sell you something or send you somewhere that we don't know what the effects are going to be. We know the results that we get. We don't know something else. That doesn't mean that you have to get our services in order to accomplish what you are. But I mean, the other side of the coin is you'd have to get our training, and you'd have to learn all of these different methods, right? Local PR Pro, local GMB Pro, local Lease Pro, Syndication Academy, RYS Academy, all of the different things. Go to the mastermind. I mean, that's the best place, Quentin, where we can help you, and the community can help you get the best results. But if you're just starting out, dude, the battle plan, get the services. Why spend all that time doing everything yourself when you can spend that time actually going into your social media, relating to people, being social, and getting those social people to follow you and to come to your website and to give you their opinion. There's a lot of ways that you can get people, when you're being social, to come and be social and help you on the website. But you have to create that activity. That's an excellent way. I mean, it's there's so many things that you can do. We talked about it in our mini mastermind group yesterday. I call it social conditioning. I think you call it social engineering.
Yeah.
But it all works from, in my mind, from Pavlov's operant conditioning experiments, where you create expectation. And when you can do that with your social media crowd and get them to your website, that's gold. Because Google will follow them from Instagram, from Facebook, from Pinterest, wherever it is that you have your social presence. And Google will know that all of these people are interested in your website. And then Google will start sending people to see why all of these different people are interested in your website. So, I mean, that's just my recommendation for Quentin.
Yeah.
Follow the battle plan. Services, we have everything you need in MGYB.
And guys, the traffic signals are huge for SEO right now. I mean, it's one of the biggest drivers of SEO or rankings, or really getting Google's attention is traffic from, valid traffic, real traffic, not spoof traffic, but real traffic. So referral traffic from social media sources is a great, especially when they dwell or engage on your site. It's not just about dwell time, but if they engage on your site, that kind of traffic is incredibly powerful for SEO. It's a great signal. And you can buy traffic too. So, I mean, again, it doesn't have to be all organic traffic that you send as referral traffic from social media, but, you can buy traffic from Google, you can buy traffic from Facebook. And those are, and YouTube, for example, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that too, that if it's relevant, they're going to engage with your site, right? And that's just a huge signal. It's incredibly powerful. So we're going to move on. Dewan says, which, by the way, Dewan joined the mastermind after last week's Hump Day Hangout. And so we appreciate you, Dewan, joining. And he's got a lot of good questions in there already. And we've got a mastermind webinar tomorrow. And we're actually going to dive into some of the stuff that he was asking about in there. So welcome, Dewan, once again. And we've got some stuff we're going to cover for you tomorrow during the mastermind webinar. He says, when you say you send traffic to appease Google, do you mean like crowdsearch alternative? And no, Dewan, I know you directed this at Margo, so I'll let Marco add to this as well. But as we were just saying, it's not about spoofed traffic. You could probably still get results with some spoofed traffic. However, we're talking about relevant traffic, right? Just the same as we don't, it's funny, we don't do a lot of PBN stuff, and we don't do domain authority manipulation anymore, because we found it's more about relevancy. Like, that's the longer term, that's the better strategy. And so we try to do everything. Now, I say that, and I just was talking about spam links, like our service for spam links in MGYB. It works really well if you know what to point it at, which is an example of like what we were talking about with drive stacks, or Amazon S3 hosted pages. Those kind of things are incredibly, if you know how to use spam properly, you can get results from even like traditional spam type links, right? But it's not something that we would ever want to point directly at a money site. Well, the same thing goes for traffic signals, right? You can buy spam traffic signals or spoof traffic signals using an app like CrowdSearch, which, by the way, used to be incredibly effective. We promoted the shit out of it for about 2 years because I used it. I mean, a lot. I used it a lot. I was using 50,000 credits a month with that thing. And it worked really, really well. But Google's algorithm learned not to count that kind of traffic. And there's a number of reasons why it became less effective and started having diminishing returns. And I'm not going to get into all of that. We can talk about that in the mastermind webinar if you'd like, Dewan. But so spam traffic signals can still produce some results, but they're marginal at best compared to if you can buy or send relevant traffic signals, which is the same thing that we're talking about. Like, for example, even traditional SEO, like link building stuff, we can create or add relevancy even to spam links by sending spam links to a drive stack that is 100% relevant. And it uses the Google domain to help kind of launder that negative link juice. Well, the same thing goes with traffic signals, right? If you can force or push real traffic into your digital assets, your entities, so to speak, right? Your brand entities, from either referral sources or even buying it direct. If it's relevant traffic, that traffic is going to be weighted so much heavier by Google, right? So for SEO purposes, relevant traffic is weighted much heavier than non-relevant traffic. So for example, if you were to send hundreds of visitors to a blog post on your site that aren't engaging with it, but it's just the visitor hits, right, that you're trying to send traffic signals to it, can that help? Yes, it may be able to help. It may be able to give you a small boost in the ranks, or even a big boost. But the problem is, when you stop sending that traffic, what happens? It'll start to slip again, because those weren't sustainable signals. But if you can send a fraction of relevant traffic signals from an audience that Google is fully aware of, is already interested in that topic or that content. And how do they do that? Well, if you're buying traffic from Google, you can buy traffic from known audiences, right? You can buy traffic from Google directly from YouTube, or directly from Display Network, or search ads if you wanted. It's crazy expensive, but from, let's say, Display Network or from YouTube, where you can literally select the audiences that you want Google to display your ads to, right? Or expose your ads to. So Google knows that those people are already interested in that topic. Or so Google knows that those people are relevant. And because they're relevant, when you send those traffic signals to, or that traffic, excuse me, to your content, they're likely to engage with it. And the engagement signals are more powerful than just bare traffic signals, if that makes sense. Which means they not only will the traffic and engagement help the SEO, but it's likely that you're going to actually convert some of that traffic into whatever your conversion goal may be, whether that's opting in to build your email list, or if it's for local business, it's making a phone call, essentially becoming a lead, or submitting a contact request form, or if it's a straight like e-com, you're trying to sell something, they may purchase your products. So instead of trying to put your effort, time, and money into spoofing traffic, why not put your effort, time, and money into buying relevant traffic, or generating relevant traffic through social engineering, or, as Marco calls it, social conditioning? Again, you're going to get much better results with a fraction of the numbers required that you would from spoofing stuff, by just sending relevant traffic signals and engagement from real people that have a real genuine interest in your topic, or your content, your product, your service, whatever it may be. Mark, you want to add to that?
Yeah, what I want to add is there's something really simple, and Google is starting to get even smarter, because they boiled it down, right? And I call it the art of art: activity, relevance, trust, and authority. And it's at the link origin and link destination, and everything attached to the link origin and the link destination. So Google is looking at the activity on the links, meaning how are people interacting with the website that's feeding you the link, and how are they interacting when they get to the destination of the link. Activity. Relevance. Well, is it relevant? Did they come from women's shoes and end up at I don't know, bricks? Absolutely nothing. One to do with the other. It has to be relevant. And it has to be trusted and authoritative. That's why we love being inside the belly of the beast, being inside Google. So if you can get those three things, Dewan or Devon, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but either way, let me know. We'll be on the mastermind. Tell me how it's pronounced. Get art in there. Now, it's very difficult, as far as the activity is concerned, to get purchase traffic. And I'm talking about Fiverr. I'm talking about traffic exchanges and all these other places, to get these people to act like real people, even if you're in a traffic exchange with real people. Because in a traffic exchange, all the people are concerned about is earning more whatever tokens or whatever credits, so that they can get more traffic to their own properties. They're not interested in dwelling on your website. They're not interested in interacting with your website, and Google is looking at all of these things. So how can you get, and think of it, how can you get that activity? How can you get that real person to act like a real person? Well, you buy real people. You either train them the right way, or you pay Google and Facebook and Instagram and whatever else to send the right people wherever you want it to go. They don't have to go to your money site. They can go into your link stream and end up at the money site. Now, here's the key thing and the great thing. Fiverr traffic does work. And the way that I've gotten it to work is you have to get in with like a real conversation with the provider so that the provider knows exactly what it is that you're looking for. And they have to be able to tell you, yes, I can do it, or no, I can't. And then you test it. Even if they tell you, oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I can get local IPs and I can get traffic to go in there like that. You test it. You never test on anything that's going to make you money. Although you set it up as if you're going to make money with your test, and you should. Now, once you have that and you get all of these real people interacting and you see how it works and how Google reacts to this traffic, then you know that you can trust this guy. Never lose that Fiverr contact, because it's worth gold. 3 or 4 people out at tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 interacting with your links and ending up at the destination wherever you want and finishing whatever it is that you set them to do. That's what Google wants to see, the completion of that original action at the destination. So that's the key. And if you're doing that, if you're buying from Fiverr or anything, it's not just going in and paying just whatever for whoever for whatever. It's actually, you have to know and understand what it is that Google is looking for so that you can buy and try to approximate what Google is looking for.
Sweet. So next is Jordan was just dropping a link to, or what he suggests for rank tracking. Nice reports, not cheap. So there you go, because somebody was asking about that. Will's asking what's a good tool to track your GMB rankings. So you might want to check that out. Personally, Will, what I use is Bright Local for my client reporting, which will track GMB rankings depending on, like, you can set it by zip code or by city name. So that's all I use. That you can also use like Pro Rank Tracker. That's something that I use for like SEO tests and stuff like that. Not necessarily. I mean, I do have some client reports in there, but I use that more for tracking SEO tests, campaigns that I'm testing different methods on and that kind of stuff. But for client reports, I use Bright Local because it gives me a lot of really good reports that look nice, and they're really accurate as far as for GMB rank tracking. And what's cool is you can set like third-party mentions up, so it will show rankings of any one of your branded digital assets. So like it'll show citations where they're ranking, YouTube videos or channels or Facebook pages, anything that's branded that has a mention of your name, your client's name, will show up in the search results of the rank tracker search results, right? So it's really cool because it makes you look like a rock star. Instead of just showing where the website's ranking, you show where all of their branded properties or profiles are ranking for the various keywords. And so it looks really, really good. And so anyways, again, I just use Bright Local, but Jordan likes nightwatch.io. So check some of them out and see which one you like. Okay. Okay, thank you, Grant, for that comment. Fabian asked a question about the Firebase redirects now that goo.gl, which was Google's link shortener, has now been terminated. They won't allow us to use it anymore. And Marco's not going to answer that, Fabian, because Marco, tell him what.
Because some idiot will take it and burn it.
There you go.
It's that simple. And right now, we've got it. Fabian, you're in the mastermind. So when we are working on it to make it available to our membership so that they can use it. We have it internally right now, but we're working on making it available so that you guys in the mastermind first can use it. As soon as it's available, we'll let you guys know. In the meantime, I mean, Bradley, you're using what, Pretty Links Pro?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's Rebrandly, there's Owly, there's a whole bunch of other places where you can get 301s. If it has decent metrics, if it hasn't been burned, by all means use it. And then we'll work out our shortener, our Firebase shortener, and how to make it available to, again, membership has its privileges, so the mastermind will get it first.
Yeah, I'm just using Pretty Links Pro, which is a plugin. I think if you go to semanticmastery.com/prettylinks, you can find it. It's not very expensive. I think it's like $20. It might be more than that, but anyways, it's a great plugin. And depending on what I'm doing, like for example, for all press releases, I set up a domain specifically that I use for creating redirects within press releases for the local PR Pro method, for PR stacking, also just for like redirecting those long, ugly Google URLs for like maps, for example, or now GMB posts and stuff like that. So I always am using the same. It's a press related type domain, so that it makes sense, right? And it looks and fits well in press releases. And that way, I'm actually building a little bit of authority to my own redirect domain that way. For other stuff, again, I just use Pretty Links Pro because I think when you buy that, you get unlimited domain installs. And so, for example, we've got a link shortener on for Semantic Mastery that we've had for years now we use Pretty Links in that. It's smshort.link. And if you go to the homepage, it's Sam Jackson telling you to fuck off. but we use that as our redirect URL and have been for years, smshort.link. And it's great because it's just Pretty Link Pro. So again, that's what I've been using. But yeah, there are other things like Rebrandly and stuff that have some inherent authority that you can use. So that would answer Jordan's question next as well. So Kevin is up. He says, how do I find the best keywords for my YouTube videos? I'm glad you asked that, Kevin. I actually prepared this specifically. I'm going to drop these links on the page for you as a reply. And then I'm just going to briefly talk about them because they're both really good. And I want to explain why. Okay, cool. So, for YouTube video keywords, I think these are the two best softwares or tools available. One is, and they're both from the same developer, by the way. So this one is Power Suggest Pro, and this is by Ted Chen. He's, again, a developer of both these tools that I'm going to show. It is hands down my favorite keyword tool and has been for years. It's incredibly inexpensive. If you buy it through our link, which is the link that I just dropped there, I think you can get it for, I think if you buy it straight from the website, it's $77, but through our link, it's $57. And that's because we've sold this a lot for Ted. So he gave us a discount for our audience only. Anyways, it's a one-time fee, $57. It's an incredibly simple tool. And it works really, really well, especially for generating long tail keywords, like stuff that you can rank for overnight, like instantly when you're talking about YouTube video stuff, because it will spit out all it does is produce auto suggest keywords. So Google suggest or YouTube suggest or eBay suggest or Amazon suggest. And I think it has Bing in there as well. I'll just open it up real quick. But it's a very simple tool, and all it does is it uses the suggested phrases, and it does it via API, so it grabs them very, very quickly. And it's got Google, YouTube, Yahoo, Amazon, eBay, and Bing. And so for YouTube, like I've got it checked right here. I know it's probably small on your end, guys, but for YouTube, you just put in your search term or your seed keyword, so to speak, and then just hit search, and you can set up suffix or recursive. Recursive means like, so for example, when you go to Google and you type in a keyword and then you type in space A, it's going to list the top 10 suggested search queries where that last word starts with an A. And then you can go B and it'll give you the top 10 suggested search queries with the last word starting with a B, and so on and so forth, all the way through A through Z. Well, recursive will then go back and search the 10 results for each letter again with with A again at the end. And so you can literally spit out thousands of keywords, complex search queries very, very quickly. And what I like about it is because it's coming from the Google Suggest, for YouTube and Google anyways, the Google Suggest API, all you're getting are search queries that are known to have traffic or have enough interest from Google, from Google users for Google to put them in the suggested the suggest database. In other words, Google doesn't have suggested search query phrases in there just randomly. They're there because people have searched for those specific queries. Does that make sense? So the YouTube suggest the YouTube suggest database is not as good as Google's. In other words, you will see some repetition of like specific words that will be appended to your search queries or the output essentially from this tool. But when you're looking at just the Google suggested phrases, it's incredible because you can get into sometimes the queries that come out of here are 8, 9, 10 words long, which means there's traffic on those complex queries. There's no doubt there's traffic there, or else they wouldn't be in the suggest database. But very few, if any, are optimizing for them. And that's why I'm saying this is an outstanding tool for SEO, guys, because you can develop your silos around long tail keywords that are spit out from this tool in a matter of seconds. It works very, very quickly. And you can get super long tail keyword phrases or search queries, essentially, that you can optimize content for. And when we're talking about YouTube, I mean, you can literally rank for stuff the moment it's published if you're targeting those long tail. And then if you're using silos properly, which is what we teach with, for content stacking, period, but you can apply silo architecture to YouTube channels using playlists, right? That's YouTube Silo Academy. You can get really good results even for short tail keyword phrases by creating a silo playlist and targeting the longer, more complex queries that rank almost instantly. And so again, this is a fantastic tool, guys. For $57, it's a one-time fee. You'd be silly not to use it. Number 2, this is also by Ted Chen, but this is an online version of it. And this is a tool that was co-developed by our friend Justin Sardi, who is hands down the best, in my opinion, guy for learning how to run YouTube ads for e-com and for lead generation or building email lists and all that kind of stuff. Justin Sardi is great. And this is a tool he developed called TubeSift. He co-developed it with Ted Chen. Ted's there. That's Justin. And this is an online version that will it's got a lot of the same functionality in the app or the online version as Power Suggest Pro, but it's got a lot of additional features for YouTube advertising. So it is more of an ads tool than it is an SEO tool, but there is the SEO component of it because it has the same Power Suggest Pro functionality in the app, but it also has a lot of additional things like it's got a YouTube channel searcher that you can find other channels to find other videos that you can use in strategic ways. You can also build placement lists for YouTube ads, all that kind of stuff. So either one of these are really, really good. Depending if you're just doing SEO work, you can get away with just using Power Suggest Pro. If you plan on doing any YouTube advertising, I highly recommend picking this tool up because it works really well. And I still use this tool all the time. Whenever I run YouTube ads, I'm always in there using this tool. It's a great, great tool. Okay, it's a great question. We're going to keep moving. We're almost out of time here too. Daniel says, I have some new sites being created, both for roofers, one with 2 locations about 3 hours apart and one with locations servicing 2 adjoining counties. What service from MGYB would you recommend to me to get some traction fast in the first month? Then what would you suggest to follow up after that? Thanks. Well, first of all, press releases, Daniel, is going to be one of the things you can do quick to get the best results, the quickest results. Although the days of just one press release being able to get super, super good results are, unless it's very non-competitive. If it's a real low competition, you can very well get good results with, significant movement with one press release. But if it's more competitive, it's going to require several press releases published in succession, like a week apart or 2 weeks apart, essentially the PR stacking method in order to get results. Google's algorithm is adapted. For a long time there, for almost a year, we were able to just crush it with press releases for maps listings. And we still can, but it requires more and consistency in order to do it, to get the same kind of results. But press releases, obviously, drive stacks. A drive stack is, again, standard operating procedure. It does take a little bit of time for drive stacks to take effect, but I would recommend having a drive stack pointed at each one of your clients that then you can actually target both locations within the drive stacks for each client. And then what you can do is link build to the drive stack, right? And again, those are all services that we provide in MGYB in the store. You can buy press releases from us. You can buy, and you also get an organization page which is like a media room page, which is great because you can use that very strategically. You can actually embed that in your drive stacks, which is very powerful. And then build links to your drive stacks and your organization pages, which are like essentially your media room pages where your press releases for that brand, that company, will be listed. It's like an index, like a blog index page, essentially, for the press releases. So you power that up with additional links, and that will help too. So again, I would recommend doing a kind of a 1-2 punch. Honestly, Daniel, if you are handling like the work for your clients, that's where local GMB Pro, local PR Pro, and RYS all combine those together is like, that's like the perfect triple combo to get results for clients. I don't, you'd have to go buy all the training courses and learn all that stuff to be able to implement it, or you can just buy some of those, the PRs and the press releases and the drive stacks directly from MGYB, and not have to learn all of it. And then again, you apply link building campaigns to those properties, not directly to the money site. As far as the GMB assets, the actual maps, listings themselves, that's where local GMB Pro comes in. That's where you're going to get the best results from the actual Google My Business listing, essentially. So that, I would recommend, we don't have that service available publicly yet in MGYB in the mastermind we do, Daniel, where you can buy GMB services from us, done for you, Google My Business services, but that's only available in the mastermind right now. So if you want to apply those methods to your current clients, then you'd have to right now purchase local GMB Pro or come join the mastermind, which is what I would recommend, because you can get the training much cheaper there, as well as get done for you services there, so that you don't have to spend the time and effort learning how to do it. You can just get the training from us as how to apply it, and then hire us to do it for you. And that's going to get you the quickest results instead of you having to learn it. So I would recommend you come join the mastermind. It's a small price to pay for the access to us and the training and the methods that are going to help you to get results the quickest. If that makes sense. Any comments on that?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, cool. No, I was just going to say, Bradley, make sure. Yeah. Okay, cool.
You have to refresh. I know it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. All right. Okay, so we're there. Yeah, well, I'm not digging the whole Facebook comments thing myself, honestly, but we're trying to find a good solution, guys, here. Discuss apparently wasn't working, so we'll work it out. Michael's up. He says, not sure why. Oh, the same thing. He's complaining about this apparently. Last week's page isn't showing last week's something.
Yeah, it said I updated it as soon as I saw that.
Huh. Okay. So did it get resolved?
Yep. Yeah, we didn't have the code in there for the YouTube video.
Oh shit, my bad. That was my fault then. I apologize for that. All right. Augustus says, is there a way to protect GMB listings from being suspended from people flagging them? No, I mean, make them look as real as possible, Augustus. That's the only thing you can do is, try to make them look as real as possible. If somebody flags it and if you can't verify it physically, via receiving a postcard, or, taking photos from in front of the storefront or the location, if it's not a storefront business, then the only thing that you can do is really try to make it look as real and as genuine as possible. Honestly, I think that's bullshit right now, because competitors could just flag a listing and it could cause Google to want to slap it and require re-verification, but there's not much we can do about that right now. We're almost out of time, guys. I do have to leave, but Vitali says, hello, hope everything is doing well. Question to Bradley, any feedback on testing with Quantum Newswire? Thanks. No, I'm still testing, Vitali. There's a lot of amazing features with it, and I've got a lot of hopes for it, and I know the guys behind it, like, really, and we wouldn't have brought that to our audience unless we truly believed in it. But I am doing some pretty significant testing with it that we're going to bring them back to do another presentation, another offer, essentially, once I have my case study done. When we promoted it the first time, I didn't have my case study done, and that's because I just honestly have been overwhelmed with too much other work at the moment. But I am actively working on that case study right now, so that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we can bring them back to present the offer again And this time I will take a much more active role in the actual presentation and show case study data like I often do, to show exactly how the kind of results I'm getting from it. So right now, no, I don't have any updates for you, but we will in a few weeks. Okay. Rob says Bradley spoke about video lead gen system V2 launching soon. Will existing members get the update, or will we have to repurchase to get the new V2 updates? That's a good question. As far as I know, you will get the updates, Rob. As far as I know, you will get the updates. Why do we're getting double? I don't know, maybe because it wasn't showing up on the page. Anyways, so there you go, guys. I got to run. It's 5 o'clock. Sorry about this comment app not working correctly again. I don't know what to do about it. We'll figure it out. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Later, man.